Hello everybody, and welcome to another guide. Now that Trial of Valor is out, let's go over the first boss, Odyn. Now the first thing to note with this first boss is there are two mini bosses that need to happen before. This is Himdall and Hiria. So basically with Himdall, very simple. If he does Horn of Valor, move out of the AoE and move away from other people. And another mechanic he has is he does throw a spinning blade at a random member in the party. So when Himdall throws out this blade, make sure you're not standing directly in the middle of the platform because you do need to use that for Hiria's light shield. Now another mechanic that comes into play during this first phase with the mini bosses is ads do come out, and basically these ads are invulnerable until you run them into the appropriate rune. So if you get the ad that has a purple rune on top of it, you have to go run him on top of the purple rune. So before you even start the fight, get used to where each rune is and know which one you have to run to. It is color coordinated along with the symbol itself, and that's really all Himdall does. Horn of Valor, so you run out, and Dancing Blade, which you don't stand in. They're both pretty big obvious moves. Now again, don't drop that Dancing Blade in the middle of the room because you are going to be using that. Let's move on to Hiria. Now what Hiria does is Hiria has Shield of Light. If you are being targeted by Shield of Light, you need to run to the center of this platform that you're on in this room, and everybody needs to stack on you. Basically what this does is it does a huge amount of damage split up between everybody else that's in there. So the more people that's in there, the less likely it is to kill you, because if it only hits one person, that's basically a one shot. Now when Horn of Valor goes off, you do still need to move away from everyone else, even if you are in melee range and in Hiria, because this hits the whole room. Now if you stand next to one person, it's probably not going to kill you. However, if you do stand next to 3 or 4 people, you will die. Here you see Shield of Light, and there wasn't enough people in the middle. I almost went down. I am DPSing here. Even as a DPS or a tank, you do get hit really hard. Now if you are tanking Hiria, feel free to turn around yourself as a tank as well and help dilute this expel light damage. Now as I mentioned before, there are ads that come out all the time during this phase. You need to nuke down these ads. If even one ad stays up, basically Odin will one-shot everybody in the raid. Now if you nuke all of the ads, the ability that he does not do that much damage and it won't nuke you. Here you see another Shield of Light. We all stack up to be able to take this damage. You do see it isn't enough of us, and that should have been aimed right down the middle of the room so that all of the range and the healers can run in there too. But with enough people, you do get to survive. Once again, we have an ad phase. Go DPS all of the ads immediately. They are your #1 priority. The very last thing to note about this phase is that Hiria and Himdall both need to go down at the exact same time. Now, when Hiria and Himdall reach 25% each, they start casting a big heal that they're going to heal on themselves if the other one isn't also casting. So you need to get both to 25%. If you do not, you might as well wipe it out because you're going to be taking another 5 to 10 minutes to get them down to that phase again. Now in phase 2, Odin jumps down and he starts doing this ability that's very similar to his Halls of Valor counterpart, where he makes spears come up and there's all these particles that fly out of him. Now the big things to know about phase 2 is the tanks do need to swap when Odin's test goes way too high on him. So when Odin's test reaches anywhere from 5 to 10 stacks, the tanks need to switch. If they do not, Odin's attack speed gets out of hand and he just starts wailing on your tanks. Now during this phase, we also have the phase 1 mechanic, which is summon ads, take them to the rune and DPS them down. If you don't DPS them down, again, Odin does an ability that will one-shot everybody in the raid. So again, ads are the #1 priority. Tanks need to switch every 5 to 10 stacks, and you have to avoid all these particles because they do big damage. A little tip about placement for Odin is to place him along this rune that we've been dancing on this whole time, just because during phase 3, he'll basically make 2/3 of the ground do damage to you. Now if you stand near this rune, you'll be close to some safe ground no matter what. At 55%, you will go to phase 3. Now something to note about phase 3, if you are targeted with the Storm of Justice, you need to go drop that tornado out in the corners of the room. Now you see here as a tank, I had to run away from him. Once you're targeted by the spear, you need to maximize the distance between yourself and Odin. This mechanic does damage the closer you are to Odin, so if you're relatively close, you will be one shot, you'll die, no questions asked. So here you see that I was a little bit closer. I did almost go down to that one. That was very, very close. So also another thing you'll see is the transition of ground. We were on the other piece of ground. Now the part of ground we can stand on is the middle. Here we have another Stormforged Spear, so again, another taunt off between tanks, and I run and maximize that distance between me and the boss. Again, everybody with the storms has to try to drop them not anywhere near the middle or anywhere near the transition phases. So around that top rune, you definitely want to avoid dropping any storms around there just because everybody runs around there. Here you see everybody drop storms on the edge of the room. That's perfect. Another spear, so here I am trying to gain more distance away from the boss again. Now I did go down because the taunt was a little late. Odin did chase me. Luckily we get a B-res. I'm able to taunt the spear off the other tank again. He's able to survive that. Now this spear is physical damage, so whatever you can do to mitigate that would be amazing, whether it's trinkets, cooldowns, whatever it is that you have. Now here we have another transition phase where we have a different part of the ground being available, and at 10% this Odin fight is over. I realize that this is very hectic. Now the tanks just need to remember when to taunt off of each other. You need to remember that ads are always a priority, and drop anything you have in the edges of the room so that you can transition properly. Good luck out there.